Hey, how y'all doing this morning? Well, my best impression of a kickoff. Yeah, so we are, hey Spencer, how you doing, man? Thank you, man. Hey, you know how much I love you, right? I know I'm not, yeah. Let me see. No, sir, I don't see one, and no, sir. All right. So y'all, I don't know if y'all know what this breakout was about. Do y'all? I mean, there's a lot of people in here. It's like some of y'all don't even look like y'all 25 years old. That's it, old and winning. I hear you. And I'm seeing some of the faces in here, and I just want to say, there's a lot of people in this room right now that are I respect a lot and I admire. But let me tell y'all something that happens when you start getting a little bit older. I'm Sebastian Chambers, by the way. Yeah, you are. My wife, LaQuinta, we're billionaires. We have mansions and yachts. Yeah, no pun intended, I guess. Anyway, and so what I'm doing right now, it's called a filibuster, but what I'm doing right now is I want y'all to think about something. So normally when you hit this 50-year-old age, right, you've been beat down, kicked, disrespected, treated like trash. You're not a senior citizen, but the young folk is calling you old. You know what I'm saying? You go and you want the senior citizen discount, but you can't. You got to run with the young bucks. You get hired on the job, and they want you to have the energy that the young people have. And you know, how many of y'all read that book by Robert Kiyosaki, Rat Race? I mean, it's actually called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He talks about the rat race. Just imagine, here I am coming out of the military. First, I joined the Army late. I was 30 years old in basic training, so the grandpa comments started in basic training. I go into the military thinking I'm a young buck, serve for 7.5 years, get injured, and I get medically discharged. And I'm like, well, what the world am I going to do now? So I start doing what everybody else do when they get out the Army. I worry. And I got scared. So I said, I'll go work for the government. I tried a civilian job, didn't work out real good after that. I hate working with civilian-minded personnel. If you are a civilian, I'm sorry, I love you, but I don't like you. Just saying. In the military, we have a certain way that we train and a certain way we work, and you gotta let us work together, because if we bring some of y'all in, y'all gonna get mad. We're very offensive, we're disrespectful. We don't like one another, but we love each other. I can't explain it. But we know how to get done, okay? So now I gotta go into this workforce, and I'm with all these young people, and I think if I can just talk them into getting after it, I can make us all look good, because I know how this thing plays out. They're gonna work real hard, but we ain't gonna get nothing. So here I am, knowing that I have to do all these great, wonderful things, but at the end of it, there's not gonna be major raises, there's not gonna be promotions, and my dream starts dying. And then came the alliance. Talking about dreams sparked. Here comes a man right now, and when I see this guy, okay, this guy right here, how many of y'all look at Andy and say, good God, I want to look like that at 60. I want to move like that. Have y'all ever just spent time with him? So this is what I mean by the dream, right? So my wife and I you know how you ever see little kids when you're trying to feed them and they're sleepy and they're like, that's how I was with my dream. I was fighting for it, but I was like this. Here I am, 50 years old. I've been working, I sold every pill, powder, and potion on the market. I'm not lying to y'all. I got stuff make your skin cinch up, make you look 25 years younger. I got stuff you drink, make you feel like you can run a marathon. I've done it all. But every last little thing I did had pennies attached to it. And I would go at stuff so hard. We had an organization in one business, 3,000 people. And in my best month, I made $3,000. And you tell me I wasn't hustling? So here I am. Here comes the alliance. I meet Terry Edwards. And that guy told me a same old promise after I had just came from 3 companies that dumped me. And what I mean by that, they went out of business. And here's another one making me the same promises. And Terry said these words to me. He said, Sebastian, if you just do what I share with you and it don't work, you can blame me. Well, you know, at 50, I'm ready to blame somebody if it don't work, because I got to explain to my wife why we hadn't got there. And I'm telling you, 18 months later, I was able to walk away from that government job and pursue this thing full time. With that, Andy, are you ready, sir? I hope I did a good job. Y'all listen, I never take it lightly when I get up here and get in front of everybody, because we got to do.
Good job, old man.
All right.
Memoritas, blow some Greek on us.
You want me to talk in Greek? No. So my name is Steve Memoritas. I was actually born in Greece. That's my son. So I was born in Greece, moved here when I was 8 years old with my family. I didn't move. My family moved, and they brought me and my brother with them. Grew up in the Boston area, went through I wanted to be an American, so I guess I'm like one of the new Americans, because I didn't know any English when I came here. I got here in August, started school in September. I was fluent by December because they just threw us in there. And I just wanted to learn everything about the United States. I mean, the language, the history, the geography, you name it. So I grew up, Americana, went to high school, went to college, I went to BC. Then I decided I wanted to travel, see the world. Kind of broke my parents' heart, because ever since I was a little kid, they were grooming me to be an attorney. But when I got in college, as anybody that's been to college, you're gonna know that once you start doing stuff in college, you find out things about yourself and about the world where it might change your worldview a little bit. So I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer, and I ended up traveling the world with the military. I was in the Army for a few years, then I switched into the Navy for a few years. You're very welcome. And after that, again, like Sebastian said, I got out of the military and I just went to work. Couldn't really find anything that I liked. I was bouncing around a lot to see what I could find that would give me the same feeling that I had in the military, because, again, of that brotherhood, that feeling of unity that we used to have in the military. So I went everywhere from, food service to being a security guard, being, I don't know, there were too many jobs to go through. But around the year 2000, which I don't know if anybody remembers Y2K, when the world was going to blow up, and it didn't. I was working for a software company for about 3-4 years prior to that. And when the world didn't blow up, they laid us all off, because we had saved the world. So again, I started bouncing around trying to find something that I would like, and I stumbled into insurance, not with the Alliance right away. I wish I had found the Alliance way earlier than I did. But I was with another company, and I was making good money. I was fat, dumb, and happy. I didn't really have job satisfaction, but the money was good. I got up to management. I had other agents under me that I was teaching, et cetera, et cetera. The override schedule was nothing like ours. And then in 2013, I had a little bit of a health issue. My son likes to call it a heart attack. It wasn't a heart attack. One of my valves gave out, and I had to go in and do an operation and blah, blah, blah. They botched the operation. I ended up having to do open heart surgery, so I was basically out of work for like 14 months. Because I was out of work for 14 months, the company I was working for, because I was a non-producing agent, they fired me. And that's when I found the Alliance, thank God. I've been with the Alliance 10 years, and I kind of worked the Alliance like I did at my old, insurance job. So again, that's why I'm kind of leery about hiring agents that have worked with other companies, because I came in with these preconceived ideas that weren't correct or beneficial. But by being in the Alliance as long as I have, I'm slowly starting to get over that negative feeling. So I am hiring people that are with other companies, but I'm kind of teaching them a little better than what the old companies taught them, so they're they're a little more worthy of, or they build up their self-worth a little better than I did when I first started with the Alliance. It took me a while. But anyway, after COVID, up until COVID, so I had been with the Alliance about 5.5 years, I wasn't really recruiting. I was just selling. I was making good money selling, but I hadn't really latched onto the vision of, creating a business. Because again, I had been working with just being a salesperson since the year 2000. So at COVID, I don't know what it was that clicked, but I started hiring staff. I got a great recruiter that we just celebrated 5 years of working together. And I've hired more people in the last 2 years than I have the rest of my career before the last 2 years. So, I mean, I love the Alliance, and I'm a lot older than 50, but I feel when I come to these conferences that I'm, like in my 20s, like, I feel like I'm the same age as my son, and so that's about it. I'll pass it over to Danny. Oh, do you have any questions? I don't know. I didn't know what you want me to do. Okay.
Next old man.
First of all, I'm going to give Jesus Christ all the glory and honor.
Good job.
I promised him a long time ago, I said, listen, if you'll put me in a place, I'll step back and step into you. Because it's all about him. It's not about me. I am here. One of the reasons because Andy aggravated me for a little while. And my wife said yes. But kind of give you a little bit of background, give you some hope, and let you know that God has a plan for you in your life, and if you're here, it's not by mistake. I want you to understand that above all things. There's no little U's or big U's. It's all about him. So that's where I come from. If people don't like it, we can talk about it later. Okay? But I will let you know this. I am the baby of 4 children. I have a brother that's older than me, 2 older brothers and a sister that passed away about 6 years ago. And when I was coming up, my father had a 2nd grade education, Alex, 2nd grade. But he had an idea, just like Andy Albright. He said, I believe I can start a little service station and see people come by and start buying gas. And people told him he was crazy. We call it cray-cray right now. My mom had like an 8th grade education. I was like, okay. So I was about 5 years old when he started this service station. He borrowed some money, started it up, and got it going. And he said, listen, he says, somebody had came and told him, he says, it'll never work. He says, in my mind, I know about 1,000 people pass by this road every day. He said, if I can get one person every morning to start stopping, he said, after a while, I'll have 10, 15, or 20. He said, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat them right. He said, I'm not going to look at their skin color. He said, because he said this, Sebastian, he said, money is green, correct? All right? He said, if they're going to bring the money, I'm going to treat them like somebody. So he was in that service station for 47 years. What did I learn from what he taught us as children? How to come and shake somebody's hand at 5 years old, at 6 years old. How to talk to people. Hey, Shug, how you doing? How's your youngin'? Stuff like that. So he started instilling this in my brothers and sisters at a very young age. He made us go and talk to people and say, yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. Y'all understand? If you didn't do that, you got something called a switch dance. Y'all know what that is? They call it capital punishment. He told me, so listen, he said, if you want to eat, you got to do what? You got to work. So that was biblical. My dad he was not a religious man. He was a relationship man with Christ. He showed that in everything he done, and I am so proud he brought me through that. Now, everybody has struggles, right? So my mom said when I was about 6 hours old, I had turned blue, and she called the nurse in. And the nurse had to whip me. So I got 2 whippings before I was even. Because back in the day, they whip you, bring you in. And then about 6 months later, I came down with something they called it was the German measles, and it killed a nerve in my ear and caused me to go deaf. And when I went into 1st grade, this is kind of crazy, I failed the 1st grade. I sat in the back, very shy. wouldn't look at people, just a shy little fella. And I remember them the teacher telling my mom and dad, said, listen, he's deaf and dumb. Is that a label? For about a 6-year-old, don't know nothing, right? So here's the thing. The next year I went into the first grade, so, I got double credit. That's how I look at it. So when I went into this second time, I had a lady named Miss McCrae. She was about 6 foot, Alice. Big lady. She had stuff on her arms, and back then, they could take a paddle and go out and, and take care of some business. I was scared to death of this woman. And again, I sat in the back. But here, the reason I'm telling you this story, because I want you to understand when God puts you in a position and in a place. So I was sitting in the back one day, and she said, can you hear me? And I couldn't hear. So she came back where I was, and I was already scared because she had these things that jangled. I was like, Lord have mercy. I'm crying. Y'all hear me? I said, I'm going to go to the hallway. She said, we need to go out in the hallway. I'm like, oh, my God. You know what that means, don't you? I mean, you can get your tail tore up. And then they're going to call your mom and your daddy. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get it again. And then she said, I'm going to take you to the principal's office. I said, oh, my God. I said, I'm going to get 3 whippings a day. That's all I was counting in my head. So I said, this is going to get ugly. But anyway, so she took me to the office, and they done a hearing test and found out that I was deaf, because that's the first time it was ever known that I was deaf. And so I said, okay, we're good. So she said, we're going to get you some help. So she came out and got me some help. And Sebastian and I sat in the back of the class like I always did, and she said, no. She said, I need to put you up front. She said, because you need to be in a better position. So she took me out of a place where I couldn't succeed and put me in a place where I could succeed. And then she looked at me, she says, Suge, you're not dumb. She said, you just couldn't hear. So she set me up front, and I can remember, I went through elementary school, and I got like the 6th grade. There was another teacher. She says, I'm going to set you in the back. And I said, no, ma'am, I got to sit up front. She said, well, you're taller than most other kids. I said, set me in the corner, but put me up front. So she set me in the back. And the principal came by, and she says, what's he doing in the back? She said, he needs to be up front. She said, but he's tall. She said, put him up front. So again, it's about your positioning. Now, just to kind of skip through and let you know, one thing is, when I graduated, we had 385 people to graduate of our high school, and I was number 85. So here's the thing. Every time I got in somewhere, I would always try to get to the front of the row, because I understood that my positioning was very important for me to learn. Still struggling some in school, my dad said, listen, he said, you need to get a job. So we worked in a tobacco field, cropping tobacco. Y'all call it priming, don't you? Priming. So I remember I did not want to work in a tobacco field the rest of my life. Y'all hear me? That's rough work. Get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, take out of the barn tobacco, then you turn around and go back in the field at 6, and then you're there till 7 or 8, and then by the time 10 o'clock comes around, guess what? You're putting in another barn. So nobody had to rock you to sleep, if you know what I'm talking about. So you work. So I remember when I graduated from high school, my dad said, I graduated on a Saturday, and he said, you got to get a job. I was like, man. I said, okay. I said, Dad, I want to live with you for the rest of my life. He said, oh, no. I wanted to, because I didn't have to pay no taxes, I had to pay no bills. The only thing I had to do was show up, eat, do what I wanted to do. He said, no, you got to get a job. So that Monday morning, I went down to the Air Force recruiter's office. I walked in the door. I told him, listen, man, I want to join the Air Force. And then he looked at me like I was crazy to start with. He said, you do? I said, yeah. He said, aren't you the kid that's deaf in here? I said, yeah. He said, come on in. I sat down and took the little ASVAB test thing, talking about placement. Everybody knows if you've ever been in the military. So I'm sitting there taking a test, and he says, oh, you need to go to the MEPS where they do physical, right? You got to cough, you know what I'm talking about, all that stuff. So I went to Raleigh, North Carolina. I can remember that day. First time I'd ever been on a big bus. I've been on the yellow bus, but never a big bus. You know what I'm talking about? So I went, I was like, I get up there, and there's about 30, 35 people in a room, probably half this size, and everybody's in there looking dumb like me. I'm like, eyes big, I'm like, oh, okay. And the doctor came up to me and said, son, are you so-and-so? And I said, yes, sir. He said, did you know you were deaf in your left ear? I said, that's the first time I heard that. And he looked at me, started grinning. He said, okay, I got one of them today. So they took everybody through, checked them out and stuff. And at the end, you have an opportunity they're going to tell you to leave or stay. So I went in and helped them, Alex. I went in and got up, started walking out the door. Got about halfway to the door. He says, where you going, son? I said, home. He said, oh, no, today we're swearing you in, son. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. We didn't have cell phones back then, you know what I'm saying? So I came home, went and told my dad. I said, Daddy, I can leave tomorrow. He said, oh, no. I said, what? He said, we got to get to the back end first. He said, you can leave in September. And here's what he told me. He says, I'm confused. I said, you're confused. Think about me. I'm just turning 18 years old, and I'm clueless. He said, how did you get in? I said, I don't know. He said, did you tell them what? I said, yes. I said, they checked me. He said, oh, well. So that September, I went to the United States Air Force. And I love it. Go Air Force. And I had a couple people when I was real young. They said, you'll never amount to anything. Can you imagine being 6 or 7 years old and somebody tell you you'll never amount to anything? See, but God had another purpose and a plan. Standing here is something that I would never tell you I would do because this was not my forte. And I said, all right. So I went in the Air Force, and I worked in the hospital, and I became what you call a ward clerk, and I became a medevac clerk, and then I kind of started going around in different jobs in the Air Force. And then I got commanders started calling me and said, listen, can you come and do this job and this job and this job? And here's the whole thing. Joe, it was because I had a work ethic my dad put in me when I was young. And I said, this is easy. Y'all need to go out into the battlefield when it's 110 degrees and that monkey's on your back. Okay? I said, that's called work. So I found it to be easy, and then all of a sudden, some other people started picking me up, and I remember we were going to Desert Storm and Desert Shield, and I said, listen, they said, you need to do the IT department for the hospital. I said, listen. I said, what does that mean? So I had a gentleman, how God has put you in positions again, who had been doing IT for 25 years. He was a civilian. And he said, listen, son, he said, just like Andy has took me, he put me beside him. He said, I'm going to teach you everything I know. He said, I see something in you. That's powerful. A dumb, deaf country boy looking at computer systems, understanding those zeros. Okay. So as I was going through this, he said, in 6 months, you'll be over the shop. I said, there's no way. He said, yes. So after 6 months, he taught me. He says, I'm leaving. He said, it's yours. I said, you sure? He said, you're the only one here that knows this stuff. He said, because I taught you. See how God's lining things up? Well, we were in the Air Force. I'd been in 10 years. My mother kept asking me, Steve, she said, are you going to get married? I said, one day. She said, when? I said, one day. I don't know. So my mom was kind of like Andy's mom. She was real direct. She said, boy, you're getting old. She said, you know, I want some grandbabies. Y'all, that's how my mom would talk to me. I said, yes, ma'am. So I met Lori in church. She said she went to church, but that's the first time I saw her in a long time. But anyway, but we met at church.
That would require him getting out
So, so we met at church, and I called her, and I tell people this is a secret if you're not married. Call them on Christmas night so you ain't got to buy new presents. But anyway, so that's what I did. I called her on Christmas night. And she thought I was my brother, and she said, Sebastian, she said, are you? I said, no, oh, I'm the other one. Y'all ever been that? I'm the other child. So we dated for about a year. I think it was, about a year, wasn't it? Year and 6 months or something. No, about a year or two.
Well, you said, can you do this?
Yeah, that's it. So, but let me kind of tell you some things that we had went through also. So we'd been dating, and I would come home because I was stationed at Seymour Johnson in Goldsboro, North Carolina. My dad still had a farm. He had a store. He had all these things going on. And he expected me, Steve, to come back and help him sometime. And you know what? I love my parents, and I would do anything I could for them. So he wanted me to kind of keep inside the business. And so as I came back, he said, listen, he says, I have colon cancer. He said, I want you to come to the hospital. I said, I want you to drop me off. I said, but you got colon cancer, Dad. He said, no. He said, let me understand. He says, come and drop me off. I have a list of things for you to do. So I took out the Air Force, and he gave me a list, Sebastian. I dropped him off, went upstairs. He said, don't come back up here until you do this list. I said, in other words, you don't want me to come back up here? He said, yes, don't come back up here. He says, I'll be fine. So he had his colon cancer, and he had surgery. And I can remember him telling me, he said, listen, he said, my name will take you where you need to go, especially in this community. Because we were talking about community over here a while ago. Community's huge. And his name was so good, I could go to a place and say, listen, I am so-and-so's son. Whose son are you? Every time I went somewhere, it was like, oh, what do you need? They would never ask for a credit card. They would never ask for anything that says you're so-and-so's son. So when you associate yourself with Andy Albright, and when you associate yourself with the Alliance, then guess what? Where are you coming from? Who are you a part of? They're looking at you. They're looking at your integrity, where you're standing up, who you're talking to, how you're speaking. Everything that's done here today, he has put inside of me. And I got a couple quick stories for him, too, that I kind of want to get out of the way. But here's what I understood. My life has been put in a place where I'm supposed to be a servant. A man had asked my dad one time at the store, he said, listen, he said, who owns this store? He says, he's not here. He said, who pays the bills? He said, he's not here. He said, well, who takes care of the place? He said, he's not here. He said, if you ask the right question, I'll tell you. He said, I'm a steward. That's all I am. He said, have you ever read the Word? And the man said, what does that mean? He said, you need to read the Word. Okay. So we're stewards of what God has given us because we're here for just a short time and a short period. And it's up to us to make a difference in somebody else's life. Because here's what I can tell you. The person that's standing beside you at the grocery store and the person that's out there on the road, and you say, hey, listen, how you doing today? Where you from? I got that from Andy Albright. Where you from? Who's your people? Right? If you're in the South, the more southern you sound, the better off you are, by the way. But that's cut it short. I want my man to come up here. I know he's got some questions for us. And I love you, my brother.
Okay. All right, thank you. Give him a hand. Good job, Danny Johnson. You man. All right, so we got a lot of other people out here that are over 52, but over 50 also. And but here's the deal. I want to talk to you about this thing about recruiting young people. Old people got problems. How many people know exactly what I'm talking about? Was it Minnie Pearl? Oh, Lord. Was that who it was with all the problems? But it's, you know, how many problems we got? We got children problems. We got grandbaby problems, got spouse problems, got health problems, got mama problems, daddy problems, family problems, and somebody disabled, somebody got to live with them, nobody take care of them but me, mama. Oh, it's just a nightmare, okay? So you got to figure out how to deal with that, because that's you and me, right? You got to somehow compartmentalize. I was talking to a young lady at this event, and I was trying to explain to her, like, we don't give a crap what comes on outside of our circle. She's just so frustrated with other people and other stuff and what somebody said and what he texted her. And I'm like, listen, you're not an idiot. We don't give crap about nothing except ourselves. Sounds selfish. But you understand, you've got to internalize, this is what I do. I don't care what they do. And it's just like, I have staff, somebody like, she don't like you. I said, bullshit, she loves me. And they were like, no, I don't think she does. I said, I can't help you wrong. I don't give a crap. In my mind, she loved me. I ain't got time for that. He likes me. I don't know. Well, he said he don't. He said he's lying. You know what I mean? It is what I say it is. My wife said that before. She said, he don't get what he wants. He get mad. I go, that's why I get what I want. Because I just make my mind. Does that make sense? So here's the thing, though. So why do I say not to recruit? I don't say not to recruit. By the way, you've never heard me say not to recruit old people. I just say recruit young people. Because if I had a choice, I want 23, 24, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. And then it starts to peak. Because it's less problems. And I can get in their face and talk to them like I want to talk to them. You try to talk to an old person about like that, you find out they know more than you do. And they're broker than you are. It's a unique combination they have. Arrogance and brokedom. It's freaking amazing in the same body. So that's why I'm looking for the younger, humble. Like I go, Emily, stand up when you're talking. She didn't look at me twice. She didn't slowly get up and grab her back. She just popped up. Matter of fact, she popped up. I was like, I love that. You know what I mean? It's just, so that's just the way they do. Now, not all of them, but I'm looking for the ones that do. And then here's the thing. NC State, older people, like, young people don't have work ethic these days. I go, mine do. I'm finding the good ones. Mine kick ass, take names, rip heads apart. Who you working with? What pond are you fishing in? The boys and girls I know, the young, they badasses. See, it's in my head, and then I act as if. It's like not asking if I'm getting a check. I just get their banking account number, and then they got an insurance policy. I just get them in an insurance class, and then they are an insurance agent. I don't ever ask them that they want to join, build a team, be part of a program. Let's be friends with them. All right, here's the next step. Let's do this, see how it goes. Let's just see how this step goes. Okay, so that's why I'm young people. Less problems. But you're not going to see me not recruit somebody 72 years. I'm going to recruit them. Damn right. I'm going to put them in class. And then see who they know. How old's your grandkids? I'm trying to see if I was just too low, or should I go to his kids or grandkids? I don't know. All right, so here's the question. What's your questions for them? You got Danny, Navy, retired, state of North Carolina, retired, Army and Navy intelligence, and Army. Any other military? 10 years military, how many years? How many? 7.5 and 20 years. Married, grandkids. You got grandkids? No grandkids. Let's be praying for him. He needs some grandkids. How old are your kids? You got grandkids? Two grandkids. They got problems. You know how that guy got? Here's the way it works. Married people got married problems. Yep. Young people got young people problems. Yep. Old people got all kinds of problems. Yep. My question is, what's your questions for them? Anybody got a question for one of these studs? Here's one right here. All right. This is the first one. I don't know if it'll be the best one. What's up, brother? Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Ed.
What's your question?
First of all, go Army. Thanks for your service, guys. My question is, when you've got a house full of winners, which we do, my wife and I are blessed with 7 amazing kids. They're all college educated, self-sufficient, killing it. I'm scared to death to show them this opportunity, because if it doesn't work for them and I pull them away from something they're already winning at. So how would you approach that situation?
Stand up, use the mic, light them up.
This is how I believe about that. Is it about you or about them? Okay, if it's about them, get out the way. Share it with them and let them make up their mind. Like we said, we raised them. We said we poured into them. See what you put in there. Right? You raised them. You planted it, right? That's the best advice I've given. Show it to them and step back. Give them the right instruction.
Yeah, like Noel says this a lot. Just you're opening the door for them and letting them check it out for themselves. You're not telling them to do it. You're saying, check this out, see if you like it. I think that's a little more, I don't know if it's too laid back, but.
I put it to them this way. I said, listen, is that job guaranteed forever? Yeah. And they said, well, yeah, it is. I said, listen, the last 5 jobs you had, are you still getting paid from them? And if they say no, I said, you were in a commissions job. They're in control of you. Wouldn't you like to take control of your life? It's on you. Give them the opportunity. Open the door and let them walk in the door. And if it doesn't work, it's really on them, because they got to look at the person in the mirror. That's where it hits the road.
In my mind, they're praying for something right now. Frustrated, sexually harassed at work, hadn't been given a promotion, but on Facebook and my parents, I'm telling them how good I'm doing. But I see hurting people.
Yep.
But I know not to embarrass them and tell them how bad they are and how they're going to get screwed at work, even though I know they are. I don't want to do that. I just say, you're doing so good, I'm so impressed. I just wonder if you'd like to maybe piddle around with this, just with old pops, just see how it goes. You know, just play around with it. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I sure would like it if you did, just on the side. Because in my mind, I know how hard they're praying because I know how bad they got it at work, but they don't want to tell Daddy. So I just let them ease into it. And then I let them get around Alex Abian and Danny Johnson and Mike and Carrie. And they get to thinking about that future. And all of a sudden that light, anyway, that's just me. What else? That's you know, I like everything. Y'all on the panel, so what you say it, I believe it. I'm going with it. That's why I'll pick you. All right. That's part of that me being like in my mind. I make up scenarios and then I just play them out.
Okay. Grandma of 8. How do you navigate? I know, right? When all the kids and even the spouses are calling, texting, Mama, can you? Mama, can you? And you're scheduling and struggling with the fact that you want to be there, you want to help, you feel like you need to help. I mean, you're what they have, and especially for a couple of them. How do you?
Nobody on this panel is qualified to answer that question. I'm just going to tell you that. There's a bunch of old men up here. We don't know nothing.
But they have wives and they have grandkids.
I'm protecting them. They are not qualified to answer this question. All of them up there thinking, how am I going to get out of this? I just got you out.
That's what I tell them. It's not on my calendar. It's not on my
That's a Jesus question right there. You got any other advice, Danny? It's nonstop. It's nonstop. Yeah. If it ain't your children, it's your best friend, it's your spouse, it's your preacher. I know you love Jesus.
And I just tell them.
And we got prayer meeting on Wednesday night. Huh?
I said, it's not on my calendar.
It's not on my calendar. I like that.
Grandma gonna text, it's not on my calendar. They'd be like, call 911, somebody has stolen my mama.
It's not on my calendar. When I'm working, I'm working. You know, and if they're calling me and they're dying, call the ambulance. I can't get there in time.
You got blood coming out of your eyes or your ears?
Hey, I think I read somewhere it says, let the dead bury the dead.
It's so, life's so hard. Learn how to stiff arm. Learn how to put them off. I'd absolutely love to. Next week's better than this week. Can't do it this week, but next week. And then next week, you got a whole week to think of another excuse.
Make an excuse.
You spent the last 2 months. Well, they should be getting used to it. Don't try no. Don't do no. No don't work. Just put it off. Delay it. Just delay it. Procrastination. Become a professional procrastinator. We've got a ton of professional procrastinators in our business. They just procrastinate the stuff they're supposed to do. They don't procrastinate the stuff they ain't supposed to do. Become a professional. I ain't saying you ain't already, but become a professional procrastinator for things that don't make sense.
All right, you got a grandkid. I got 1 out of 8.
You got 8.
I got 8.
That's why I said none of us qualified. I'm sticking my original statement.
Hi. My name is Ashley Garcia. I'm not 50 years old. I can put that out there. I'm based out in Tampa, Florida, under Michelle Jones. My question is, because you guys all have many years of experience. What have you worked on to deal with your mindset, to like your attitude, and just how do you develop that to have emotional intelligence so nothing is distracting you, you're just focused?
You got like just fast, like boom, boom, boom. We got to go.
Read.
Attend meetings like this.
8 steps. I mean, basic.
Y'all killed it. Y'all killed it. Woo!